Good morning, Nigeria and Ibadan. You're welcome to another sunrise moment right here on Daybreak Live, broadcasting to you from the heart of Ibadan on Dominion Television. I am Pat Aito.
And I am Samson Balogo. It's Thursday, the 26th of June, 2025, a brand new day full of fresh possibilities. And as always, we are thrilled to be keeping you company this morning.
Absolutely, Samson. The birds are singing, the city is waking up, and wherever you are watching from, whether you are commuting, getting the kids ready for school, opening your shop, or sipping that first cup of coffee, Daybreak Live is your trusted companion for news, stories, and everything in between.
And what a lineup we have got for you this morning. As always, we'll kick things off shortly with Daybreak News, your top headlines from across Nigeria and around the globe. It's been another busy 24 hours, and we've got you covered in all areas. Then
we go straight into our newspaper headline analysis, unpacking the front pages from our dailies. You don't want to miss the twist, the angles, and of course, our very own take on the headlines shaping public discourse today.
Now here's where it gets deeper. That's our big story today, and is one of that's on everybody's mind. Nigeria on the brink. Leadership, livelihood, and the search for real change. So let's be honest, the average Nigerian is asking tough questions about security, economy, governance. Of course, where we are heading, that's another question.
Well, it's a conversation that touches every home, and joining us to shed light with insight, history, and perspective is none other than Dr. Kunle Okunwola, respected public affairs analyst and governance scholar. And if you know Dr. Okunwola, you know he doesn't mind words. Expert of real, no holds barred conversation.
And of course, we'll round things up with Trend Watch, that exciting segment where we look at what's buzzing across social media platforms, lifestyle, fashion, tech, and pop culture. What are people talking about in Ibadan, Nigeria, and around the world? We'll break it down for you on this show.
And from viral twist to cultural moment, if it is trending, it's here. Right, and you know what I love about Daybreak, Samson.
What exactly is that?
Well, it's the energy, the realness, the warmth, and the laughter. And even when we are tackling heavy stories, we'll keep it human. We connect.
Of course, that's what we do on this show. So that's the goal. And speaking of connection to our viewers watching us live right now, tweet at us, drop your comment, share your thoughts. Let's know what you are seeing, feeling, and experiencing. Today's show is your show, so we do it together.
So sit tight. The sun is rising, the city is waking, and we're live, bright and ready.
It's Daybreak Live, so stay with us.
All right, you always know that you can watch, you can visit our website on www.dominion.org.nj to listen, watch, and interact with us. And of course, you can follow us across our social media platforms of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominioncast. A lot is happening.
Yes, quite a number of things. It's as we said earlier, it has been a very interesting 24 hours. It has been busy, especially when it comes to news. You know, it always develops. But of course, there's something really interesting to talk about. The Benue killings. Suspected headers continue to attack in Benue communities despite the visit of the president. I mean, that must take some guts.
Well, it's to me, it's laughable. Because you're saying we'll keep on that even at the expense of seeing Mr. President,
I mean, it went down
visited
there.
the
He wanted to pass a message by going to Benue himself.
Yes, it did. It did pass the message. And of course, and that was why you have the IGP, I mean, the Inspector General of Police, Akaode Egbeto, came up with, we've arrested 28 suspects in connection of what happened, the massacre at Yowata. And you ask a question, why is that happening now? If Mr. President has not gone to Benue State, wouldn't have arrested anybody.
You have to see how Mr. President reacted to the whole scenario while he was in Benue State at a community meeting. He was furious and asking the IGP, the generals on seat, why is it that you have not arrested one single person? So that says a lot about the attitude of the people at the corridor of power, one. Two, the security personnel towards this particular issue. You see, lives and properties are being lost on a daily basis. Farmlands being destroyed, and Benue State is tagged the food basket of the nation. So if Benue State is wiped out off the Nigerian map, what happens? What happens to you know, the Nigerian people who rely so much and heavily on the supply from Benue State when it comes to food supply? So it's a major disaster waiting to happen. Yes, it's happening, but there is a major disaster still coming on. Nigeria is sitting on a keg of firmly on a keg of gunpowder if something is not done about this. So the challenge is more than, you know, just killing people and of course taking away their property or destroying them.
On my own part, I feel it has a political undertone. Why? Because Mr. President, I cannot really pinpoint what he said, but to my own opinion and my own understanding, saying that there are political gladiators actually that do not want governor to succeed.
He mentioned something like his enemies not wanting him to succeed.
From the old conversation that we've been having, or some reporters and some television stations have been having with core important, or let me say important people from Benue State, all what they've been saying, they've been pointing to Governor Hycinth that he did not have a good relationship with some governors. So I guess for Mr. President to go is just because of the public outcry. That was why he went to Benue. And of course, going to Benue, he didn't even get to the community.
It was at
the State House.
There was an excuse.
And for him to come up with that kind of a statement, it means he had heard so many things, he had seen so many things, and don't forget that that man is a politics himself.
Yeah, and to think the tall thief was actually there, and
the man spoke excessively.
In fact, it was more or less like a public outcry to the president. Like, what you think we are facing is not the same with what we are facing here. So you have to understand what we have. If we tell our own story, that maybe you will understand what we are facing or passing through here. The problem is not about farmer Ada crisis anymore. It is more or less.
At least we've been battling with this thing for 10 years.
Yeah, and it's an issue of land grabbing. So, in a way, I think it just dial it down a little bit, but in a way, it's more or less saying it's more of an ethnic cleansing in that place. We wipe you out. Other people take over your farmlands. But the problem is that many times when people get to talk about the challenges they are facing, too many people misinterpret or maybe do not interpret it the way it should be. The culture of not getting the necessary intel, I think that should come to an end.
Well, Mr. President has come up with, okay, let's have a committee to just talk about this, and which they will convene in Abuja. And from what we see yesterday, we're seeing former governor of Benue State and not former governor, I mean SGF, George Akume, and Governor Hycinth coming together to like, okay, we've reconciled.
Let's find something to do about
so we'll see how that pans up.
Yeah, all right. That takes us to the end of this segment of the show. This morning, we say a very big thank you to everyone that has been a part of the show so far. Don't forget, you can keep the conversation going. Of course, drop your comments, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, drop your comment there. We'll definitely take them. And on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, also, it is at Dominion Broadcast. On X, formerly Twitter, it is at Dominion Cast. You can also link up with us on LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast. Watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. Now we head straight to our news desk as we bring you trends, of course, on this morning on Daybreak Live. We'll be back after this time out.
very good morning to you. Welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I am Pat Aito. President Bola Tinubu has declined to sign the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA Amendment Bill 2025, recently passed by the National Assembly. In a letter addressed to the Senate and read during the plenary by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, President Tinubu cited constitutional grounds for his decision, referencing Section 58, subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution. The President explained that the primary reason for withholding assent is that the bill is proposing granting the NDLEA the power to retain a portion of the proceeds from drug-related crimes, a departure from the current legal framework. The Nigerian Senate has strongly condemned the brutal killing of over 200 civilians in Yawata, Guma local government area of Benue State, urging the federal government to deploy additional troops and commence the reconstruction of affected communities. The resolution follows a motion moved by Senator Titus Zam, APC Benue Northwest, who described the June 13 massacre as a genocidal and unprecedented assault on the peaceful rural community. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has confirmed receiving letters of intent from 110 associations seeking registration as political parties. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, disclosed these while noting that the request had been processed in line with the relevant laws and the Commission's regulations and guidelines. Professor Yakubu urged Nigerians, especially those interested in registering political parties, to consult the Commission's regulations and the guidelines for political parties 2022, available on Commission's website. The Commission has also released the full list of the 110 associations detailing the proposed names, acronyms, addresses, and as well as the names of the chairman and secretaries. No fewer than 77 inmates have been left in absolute joy after being set free by the Honorable Chief Judge of Oyo State. Our correspondent, Sheifumi Akinsoya, reports.
The Correctional Center at Abolongo in Oyo Town, Oyo State, has witnessed the release of 77 inmates, leaving their family and friends in deep gratitude.
You are released.
This was done on the occasion of the official visit of the Honorable Chief Judge of Oyo State, Honorable Justice I.S. Yerima, at the Abolongo Custodial Center. A judge at the Oyo State High Court, Justice Akiniyi Akinola, who represented Justice Yerima while speaking to newsmen, said that the correctional facility is overstretched, calling on the federal and state government to build more and enhance existing facilities. He added that the inmate freed were deserving of the freedom, urging each and every one of them to desist from evil practices and be a good patriot of Nigeria.
In the past, we have come with a mindset not to desire to release so many. But the cases of the inmates presented today were such that they were deserving, and we exercised our discretion to release as many of them as were deserving. More so that when we were coming on this assignment, the impression the Correctional Center authorities gave was that their facilities are being overstretched. The facilities are being overstretched. And for example, that this facility was conceived to accommodate just about 160 inmates, but already they have over 600.
Do not do harm to your neighbor in the pursuit of success or in the pursuit of wealth, because you want to be the only one, the only star in your village. You ride over everyone. Don't do it.
Controller of Correctional Center, Oyo State Command, Okpadeji Dare Ayola, said that the visitation by the Chief Judge was essential as it will bring about jail delivery. He, however, commended Justice Yerima for releasing more inmates than expected, stating that it will be a relief for other inmates.
Well, I'm very happy anyway, very happy because visitation of CJ, as I've said earlier on, is very, very essential as far as correctional facility is concerned. What the CJ did this morning, I really appreciate it because he has released more than the numbers that were expected. So I love it.
According to the Chief Judge, the visitation is for 2 days, with one at the Abolongo Correctional Center in Oyo Town and Agodi Correctional Center in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, respectively. Sheifumi Akinsoya for Dominion News.
A building under construction has collapsed in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The incident occurred at Ruby's Court Estate behind St. Anne's School, Molete in Ibadan. The chairman of the Oyo State Fire Service, Maruf Akiwande, confirmed the collapse to journalists in a statement. Akiwande stated that the emergency was reported and the agency's personnel promptly responded to the scene, and on getting to the place, it was a store building under construction that collapsed, trapping 2 male persons who were rescued alive. The one that sustained a serious injury was taken to a nearby hospital. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) has reinstated Senator Samuel Anyanwu as the 8th National Secretary. The main opposition political party has similarly postponed its scheduled 100th National Executive Committee NEC meeting fixed for Monday, the 30th of June 2025, to a date yet to be announced. The acting national chairman of the PDP, Ilia Damagun, who announced this at an emergency meeting with some leaders of the organs of the party at the party secretariat in Abuja, says the PDP has resolved to hold an extended caucus meeting in place of the scheduled National Executive Committee NEC. Damagong described the decision to bring back Anyanwu as the National Secretary of the PDP as a bitter pill for the party to swallow. The senator representing Edo South Senatorial District, Neda Imasue, has officially defected from the Labour Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC), citing unresolved internal party crisis and leadership challenges. His defection was communicated in a letter addressed to the Senate and read during the plenary by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. In the letter, Senator Imasue said his decision followed wide consultations from his constituents, political allies and supporters across the Edo South Senatorial District. He explained that the move is aimed at aligning with the development-focused policies of the federal government and the renewed hope agenda championed by President Bola Tinubu. A coalition of Nigerian youth groups has called on the federal government to immediately halt what it described as the targeted persecution of suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The group referenced the attempt by David Kasaway, counsel to the federal government, who requested that Justice Chizoba Orji remand Senator Natasha in prison shortly after she entered a non-guilty plea to the charges brought against her. The application was vehemently opposed by a lawyer, Professor Roland Otaru, after which the court granted a bail. In the statement signed by the national president of the Coalition of Nigeria Youth Groups, Abdul Muhammad, the coalition expressed dismay over what they called endless persecution of the female senator. Another legal case against the senator is reportedly scheduled for arraignment in a different court soon, sparking widespread concern among civil society groups and supporters. Victims of the recent Mokwa flood disaster in Niger State have expressed gratitude to the state government as they begin to receive relief items pledged by the government 27 days after the incident. Each of the affected households received 1 million naira. Families who lost loved ones were supported with 1 million per deceased as compensation to the next of kin, while shop owners whose means of livelihood were disrupted received 500,000 each. It will be recalled that the flood killed 209 persons, displaced 3,534 others, affected 458 households, and washed away 280 houses and 31 shops.
Of households should be given 1 million naira each. These 458 head of households should be given 10 bags of rice, 5 bags of maize, 5 bags of sorghum, which is dawa, and 5 bags of millet, which is 25 bags per each head of household. Furthermore, the governor has also directed the payment of 1 million naira to each next of kin to 208 deceased persons. The governor also directed that the houses destroyed, 436 houses and 232 shops. Each of the owner of the house and the shop will go home with 500,000 naira as an intervention to start life somewhere. But what we want to start now is the peak of the process. We are now to roll our rebuilding and recovery of hope and aspiration of our people that have been affected.
3 communities in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, have been affected by a fresh power outage. According to a statement by the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC, the blackout was caused by a technical fault. Communities such as Utako, parts of Jabi and Uye have been thrown into darkness since the incident. The power utility firm, however, said its dedicated team of technicians were on the ground to resolve the fault. It, however, did not state when power will be restored to the communities. And on business, the Physical Transparency and Public Integrator CFTPI has expressed concern about the continued underperformance of the Naira despite several monetary policy reforms, including the flouting of the currency and intervention by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. CFTPI's head of public relations, Victor Agi, in a statement said that the persistent weaknesses of the Naira against the dollar has continued to fuel inflation and deepen economic hardship for ordinary Nigerians. The situation, according to the civil society organization, questions the transparency and effectiveness of key players in the foreign exchange markets, particularly bureau de change operators and deposit money banks. And in sport, in November, the Arnott family, as well as Australian energy drinks company Red Bull, take over ownership of the side before they gain promotion of League One. In 6 seasons with Ant, Moses scored 37 goals in 201 matches. The fee for his move was not revealed. Remember, you can visit our website on www.dominion.org.nj to listen to us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. And that is the Daybreak News. Thank you so much for watching. I am Pat Aito. Good morning. All right, thank you for staying tuned to and watching us on Dominion Television here in Ibadan. Of course, we welcome you to Newspaper Review and Analysis this morning. Well, I'm being joined by my public affairs analyst who is going to review some of the headlines with us in the studio, Mr. Oluwaseun Oluwole, a public affairs analyst, like I said earlier. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we really don't have time, but then we'll need to look at some of the headlines from our newspaper this morning. Well, we'll begin with the Nigerian Tribune. We have this, a big one here. PDP crisis gets messier. 5 days to 100th NEC meeting. And we have so much riders there. The acting national chairman postponed June 30th NEC meeting, reinstates Ayawu as national secretary. 11 NWC members countered Damagun's over Ayawu NEC meeting. That's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. There's a lot of, well, Yoruba will say basketballs from PDP, where we have Seyi Makinde, that's Oyo State Governor, and 11 National Working Committee, as well as some members were actually saying, no, we don't want you to reinstate Ayawu, that's Samuel Ayawu, as a national secretary. And Lot A has been happening. So what's your take on this, or how would you, what would you say concerning this headline this morning?
Yes, thank you once again. Good morning. Now, concerning the situation about PDP, which, like you said earlier, is getting messier. If 11 people or fraction of the party says this person is actually the problem of the party, that he should go, I think the best thing for the person in question is, if the person actually has the interest of the party at hand, at heart, he should just let go and let it be. Should let it be. The interest of the party should supersede that of an individual. No matter what you are coming from or what you are gunning at, the interest of the party, the ideology of the party should supersede. But actually, we've not actually seen so many parties in Nigeria, political parties having ideologies to back up their actions. But be it as it may, the party supremacy should reign supreme. The supremacy of the party comes first. So Ayawu should, I think, in the best interest of the party, this is a party that has been in power for the past 16 years, and which a particular member of the party has claimed that they will still be in governance they can still be in governance for the next 60 years. Now, this is just how many years now, and they are breaking apart to fragments. So I think they should revisit the ideologies.
Do they even have ideologies?
That is what we are saying. If they do have one, they should revisit, go back to it, sit down about it, talk about it, then move on from there. But as at now, even at state levels of some of the party secretariat, in Lagos, for instance, members are moving away from the party, moving to APC or moving to some other party. Or some of them are coming out to form another party, going for coalition and other stuff.
Let me ask you, what does this development mean for PDP leadership structure, and the implication of this rejection for the party internal dynamics or change and its future direction?
One thing about the internal mechanism of the party is it has broken down. That should be fixed in the first place. The PDP won't come together, the center can't hold anymore. They already see the writing on the wall. They see it on the wall. So if they fail to fix that, this will continue. The mechanisms has broken down. So I don't see it, to me personally, I don't see it working anymore. They need to sit down, revisit whatever it is, or visit whatever it is that is actually the root of the problem. I think they do have elderly statesmen everywhere. Well, the likes of Obasanjo and everyone.
But Babasa is no more in the party. We all know when Babasa has toured the party had.
That doesn't matter. They can still call on him for his advice. He used to be the president under their party flagship. So why can't they reach out to him? Does it that you tearing the ID card or whatever? Does it mean so you can't reach out to me? That means humanly possibly you can't actually forgive yourselves in your party. Sit down and talk about
politics is I think it's beyond forgiveness, because if Seyi Makinde, who is part of G5 who gets angry, or perhaps like, no, we don't want this, you know, it's something that's it's something we need to just look at and just look at what happened. There were coalition, there were synergy. As of the time we want to vote the other year, I mean in 2023, and now there is this Anki-Pake here.
Seyi Makinde talking about that. I don't want to delve much.
We'll have to. We have to.
Seyi said something off record. He said he won't leave PDP, and if he does, he will leave it as he met it, even the one in Oyo State. He won't put in any extra.
Is that why he's fighting?
He won't put in any extra effort to fix it, because he already saw it in the beginning. And this has been a marriage of no convenience, how should I say it? People have been brought together into the PDP for some reasons or the other, which most of them are not getting. So if they are not getting it, they tend to turn. They have turned up. Even the coalition coming into is just a set of aggrieved people in the first place coming together to vex their vexation. So I don't see, if they can't, the party already has broken down. PDP is a combination of people that are not, they can't hear themselves out in the first place.
All right, let's move away from politics now. Let's look at insecurity, how it has been panning out ever since in the country. We have 17 soldiers killed, 10 others injured in battle with terrorists in Niger, CDS. And with the rider, it has an insight here. Military deploys 800 special forces to combat insecurity. Where are we?
Insecurity all over again. 70 soldiers attacked, many injured. I think there's something, it's not that I think, I know there's something we are not doing right concerning security.
Well, in another newspaper here, we have it as former generals flag intelligence failure as bandit kill 70 soldiers. So let me just ask, what specific intelligence failure are the former generals pointing to, and how did these failures contribute to the attack?
Concerning the attack on a community in Benue, where the DSS said they received a call and it was passed to the military, and they didn't actually act on it.
And that's in Benue, but here in Niger,
it can happen anywhere. It's still the same thing. We are still in the same country. It's still the same terrain. Intelligence gathering, how do we do it? This thing boils down to the idea of a local policing. When you come up with intelligence, but even if the people have the information to pass to the military, how will they receive it? How will the people, what's going to happen to the people, to the source that the intelligence comes from? So if the military can rely and work on any intelligence, any information gathered from the sources, from different sources, they can actually stem some attacks in the boat before it even happens. But now, as it is, even intelligence gathering has been tampered with. You can actually say, okay, the intelligence we are getting, you can trust the military to act on it rightly, or not to sabotage that same information coming in, not to give it out. I always say something. When the government or the military, when we get equipment to use, we go on here and commission them. Do we need to commission the hardware that we have just gathered for our military? These bandits you are fighting, Do they actually come out to tell you, oh, we've gotten a supply for some of RPGs, or this or that, or mortars, or prepared grenades, or whatever? Do they come out to tell you? You just go to the field and you meet them with such firepower,
sophisticated
weapons. And when we just have a tidy sum of, we go on here and we commission it, and it's just like you are telling them, oh, we've gotten a cane. We've gotten brand new canes to come and beat you with, and they have machetes, and they are going to. These are part of intelligence. The US will come out and tell you, oh, we have a nuclear submarine, this number inside the water, or the US, or whatever. They don't do that. You are actually telling these people what we have and what we intend to do, how we intend to use it against you. Oh, we now have fighter jets flying over that will be covering over so area, and you expect them not to go around with RPGs, not to shoot you down? They will. So intelligence gathering and intelligence, the use of intelligence in the military, I think is the use of it is cumbersome, and there are leakages. Like the generals, there are leakages everywhere. Informants, saboteurs. They will tell. We have double agents everywhere, in the KGB, in the CIA, in the Mossad, everywhere. Even in Nigerian army, yes, we do. It can happen, and it will happen. We have double agents. All
right, let's quickly look at what the Guardian newspaper is saying this morning. We have this one: amid weak social services, states stake nearly 200 billion on revenue renovation. That's on page 6 of the Guardian. So, what are the criteria what criteria did the states government use to prioritize renovation over funding?
To me, renovation of state houses, even here in Oyo State, their governor said he is going to renovate the government house with a particular billion naira. Are you trying to tell me that that particular state house or state government house, can't we just pinpoint out some things that are wrong there and just fix them? This is your...
Instead of wasting that huge amount.
Yes. This is going to be, you are using 2 terms in the office. So your first term, actually some things are getting wrong, are going wrong in the state office or in the state house, and you don't fix them then. You can't fix a bulb or what actually are the renovations you are doing. Are you fixing roads? Even major roads don't cost up to 63 billion naira in Oyo State. Why even the state governor, the state government house? Now, governors talking about renovating government houses to that tune of some. Are you actually saying this state house, how many people are in there? How are they occupied? What is the staff, the strength of the staff that are living there that has put so much pressure on the usage of the property that is now causing so much damage that you need so much huge amounts to fix, to renovate? I don't get it somewhere. So do we now need to prioritize renovation to other things, other projects that should be done in the state? 63 billion naira is a lot of money to me to renovate. What are we renovating? Are you putting in new? That means you are. Why don't you build a new one? I should just put it that way. At least 63 billion naira, we build a new government house. Now renovating it for 63 billion naira with 63 billion naira, isn't that too much? Why are state governments now saying we are renovating this house, these places for such an amount? I think these things should be checked. We should have a parastatal that we actually, don't we have a parastatal that will actually manage, or maybe we should outsource it. It should be outsourced to consultants to manage our government houses or governors' houses, so that we won't have total overhaul, total renovation all the time coming into be. So we can have people that will just sit down and say, okay, we are going to put a check to it. check on the usage of the properties and everything. We have property companies there in Nigeria, in every state, that can do that can handle it. So why will the governor say, I want to renovate for 200 billion?
Well, that's they actually know exactly what they want to renovate, and don't forget that the foreign exchange in the country, I mean, a foreign exchange rate has constituted to the inflation. And I guess that was why cost of materials, and that's why we're having a huge amount of money. Well, away from that, and still on the guide.
The roof is leaking. Or something.
Well, away from that, let's get to still on Guardian. We have new tax regime underway as Tinubu signs bill into law today. So, how will the tax reform impact individuals, businesses, and the economy at large?
Some businesses will suffer it privately.
How do you mean suffer?
If taxes rises more than what the people can actually pay for the services, I would say, in my own instance, the government has not actually provided any soft landing for any business anymore. Inflation has risen, and a lot of things that can be put into place to help businesses to grow are not there. We don't have the basic infrastructures and amenities to help support private businesses. Now we are taxing them. How do you want such businesses to cope? So only the businesses that are up there, the bigger ones, the big corporations, the blue chip companies, you can actually talk about taxation from them. The government should actually look at taxation from all these. But if you are talking about the lower ones, you are actually affecting them. Yes, all these SMEs, and then you won't actually, it's like you're actually breaking the backbone of these people. So you take a look at the blue chip companies, the bigger ones, the bigger corporations. That is where this corporate, new tax formation can put to place that can help the government. Now, if you can go back to some states clamoring for tax, I don't know how to put it now. You can't be taxing some states higher than the others, while those ones are not. What you are actually getting from here, you are putting it into here, and these people, the tax reform actually will work if they actually meant it, and the policy actually is well monitored. I think it will work. But if it's not, it's going to tell on some states rather than some. Some states will benefit from it and some won't.
So what happens to some states that will benefit from it and those ones that won't benefit?
It's like you are taking from robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's what is actually going to happen if you don't actually see to it, let the policy actually work. So some states are saying you can't actually put a heavy tax on us while using that to upgrade some states.
All right, still on business story here, and this is coming from Business Day. We have Israel-Iran conflicts disrupt Nigeria's summer travel plans, and we have this insight as airlines raise fares, passengers reschedule flights. What's your take on this?
Well, it's to me, in the aviation industry, it's a normal thing.
It's a what?
It's a normal thing.
Okay.
For airlines to do that. Most airlines will be affected with such conflicts going on. Now, for Iran and Israel issue to now affect Nigeria or the summer, that area is not only the place for us to do for people to have their summer holidays, or for them to travel to, or for them to do businesses. But at the end of the day, it will affect the aviation industry. Number one, concerning the aviation fuel, concerning some connection points which actually lead to that route, and to the number of people moving. It's an escalation of, people have fear of this issue escalating into Europe. And the fear is still there. If it's not curbed, so people will not move. And the only thing the aviation industry enjoys most is the movement and the travel pattern of people. So if this thing continue, it will hamper the operations of the aviation industry. So we will have less or lesser passengers having flights. So many flights will be rescheduled because of this, maybe, should I say, the low turnout of passengers, the fear of the unknown, of escalation of the issue. You are not actually going, you are actually thinking, oh, will China come in? Oh, will these people retaliate? Oh, will it spread to this? So definitely the travel public will reduce. The amount of travel, the people, the number will reduce. And definitely when it reduces, when the reduction comes, it boils down to the revenue generation of the airlines. It will definitely drop. And when it drops, it affects them in the area of getting fuel, that is aviation fuel, Jet A1 and everything. So the operations will be limited and they have to reschedule and it will definitely drop. So this is a bad time. This is a bad timing for the aviation industry concerning the issue concerning
Israel and Iran.
Unless it is stemmed and it is stopped, there's a ceasefire coming to place fully, it won't improve.
Well, on Sunday, I think there was this statement from Donald Trump that saying there's a ceasefire.
And
after Khomeini, a while,
Khomeini says it has to be a total ceasefire, or else if any other thing still drops, they will keep on dropping bombs on Israel.
But we still have that happened.
It will happen if we don't actually have a total ceasefire. I see Israel talking from both sides of the cheek with Trump. Khomeini is ready to go for a total ceasefire. But if Israel and the US don't keep to their words, this guy will keep
firing his missiles.
Yes, and a lot is going to happen to the Hormuz or whatever it is that they destroyed, where we have the major share, 20% of the oil companies, shipping area moving in.
And we have the high, it will still cost a lot for us in Nigeria.
He will cut it, he will close it up, and the cost of fuel will rise up again.
All right, we'll go again to politics. 2027 Atiku led ADA obedient, 108 others seek INEC registration. That's on Blueprint. So who is behind ADA?
Set of aggrieved politicians.
What do you mean by aggrieved politicians?
They actually don't have their mandate yet, so they are still aggrieved. Until they have that mandate, they won't be aggrieved anymore. But as of now, they are aggrieved. And we have the people, the likes of
El-Rufai.
El-Rufai. You know what happened to him? He's disgruntled. What's his name again? Atiku. Obedience, coming together to form a ADA, Alliance or Democratic, whatever it is. Now, one thing I want to ask, that I keep asking people, who will be the flagship bearer?
And that's a major one here.
So I still don't see the coalition working. You came up with the coalition. You got people to back you up.
Aggrieved members. Politicians.
To back you up with your whole plan. You drop your plan, back me up, so I can go for this. What happens to my own plan? Should I leave it for you while I come with my people to support you? Don't I have a plan? Obi wants to be the president. Atiku wants to be the president. So you want Obi now to drop his own people to let us back this man up.
And El-Rufai has his own plan too.
Yeah. So that's why I don't see this coalition working. So that's why I call it
aggrieved politician coming together
to form a coalition to fight a cause that has a mindset, a winning mindset, that knows what is doing. So you are not a go-getter in that area.
Okay, let's say if INEC finally registered the AD, that's Alliance Democratic Alliance.
That doesn't stop anything.
To you, what could be the impact on PDP and opposition unity?
Okay, now let's say this. The impact of ADA on PDP is going to be massive on PDP.
Massive in the sense?
If care is not taken, it will deal a blow on PDP. Because majorly, the stakeholders of PDP, we tend to kind of think, PDP is not even working anymore. Why can't we go with Atiku or ADA? So that's going to be a massive blow on PDP if they don't put their house in order right now. But for the party like APC, it's like giving more strength to APC. ADA coming into place will tear PDP apart, giving more strength to the APC. Remember the president saying, I'm not a fan of one party, one national party,
one party system.
One party system. But at the end of the day, I won't help you put your house in order.
But before we round up this morning, because of our time, okay, let's look at it. There was this, Mr. President said something. He said 2027 coalition promoters are political IDP. That's internally displaced politicians. What would he have to say? And just in 1 minute.
I call them aggrieved politicians.
Okay, you call them aggrieved politicians.
Now we call them IDPs, internally displaced politicians.
Well, of course.
It's like the same thing. All these internally displaced politicians, they don't know where they belong.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Oluwole, for coming on the program this morning. We so much appreciate you. And of course, let's say the way it pans out. 2024, we're in 2025, we'll be talking about 2027, 2027. What happens in 2026? Yet unknown. Well, this is the convenient time to...
They need to concrete their coalitions.
They need to
put together their coalitions to concretize it. So that's what's going to happen.
All right, remember, you can keep the conversation going on our social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast. And on X at Dominioncast. Of course, you can watch, listen, and interact with us on our website, www.dominion.org.ng. And of course, we say thank you once again, Mr. Oluwole. All right, over back tomorrow for another fresh episode of the newspaper analysis. Coming up next is Big Story with Samson Balogun. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. And of course, this is the big story. From the dusty corridors of power to the crowded streets where survival is a daily struggle, the Nigerian story in 2025 is one of tension, resilience, and rising demands for accountability. Today on the big story, we ask the hard questions. Who is truly leading? How are the people living? And is real change still possible, or just another slogan? This is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Samson Balogun is my name. And of course, welcome to the conversation. Nigeria stands at a critical crossroad. In a season marked by inflation, insecurity, policy somersaults, and political fatigue, the people are not just tired, they are restless. Leadership has become more transactional than transformational. And the average Nigerian is caught in a cycle of promises and poverty. Beyond the headlines, beyond the blames and excuses lies a deeper truth. Nigerians are in a search, not just of hope, but of real, honest-to-be-goodness change. On today's edition of The Big Story, we unpack the complexity, we speak to political analysts and everyday citizens and thought leaders who still believe in the potential of this great country. Join us as we dig deep into Nigeria on the brink, leadership, livelihood, and the search for real change. Good morning once again. Of course, I won't be doing this alone today. I have with me a renowned public affairs analyst. Of course, he's a security expert. And with him, we'll be doing justice to what really matters to the people of Nigeria. Good morning to you, Dr. Kunle Okunla.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here too.
The Nigerian people are asking a lot of questions, but too many people are afraid to answer them. What is the problem? Why have we gotten to this point where there's a distinct distance between the questions and the answers?
The real situation on ground is that the people of Nigeria are overwhelmed. They are overstretched and at the brink of breaking if care is not taken, because Nigeria's problem is multifaceted. You know, our challenges are like Hydra head, and there are many, and they require the holistic approach, you know, encompassing economic, social, and political reforms, you know, and until our leaders are ready to provide answers to the many questions that sincere answers to the many questions that people are asking, and you know, we're going nowhere as a nation, you know. So that's the situation on ground now.
Okay, let me ask you this: is Nigeria's leadership problem about who leads or how the system allows them to rule?
Both of them, you know. Whosoever is at the leader, whoever is the leader determines the system, you know. It's the leader that determines what system of government, you know, that he wants for its regime. And over the years, we've not actually had a leader in this nation that is absolutely ready, you know, to provide answers to so many questions that we are asking. So it's both the problem of leadership and that of the system, but it's the leader that determines the system that he wants to practice, you know. And the present system of government that we're practicing, you know, is failing, you know, because if, as a government, the fundamental responsibility of the government, one of them is to provide safety for lives and the properties of the people, and, you know, we are not getting that. There is insecurity in almost every region of this nation on a daily basis. Just yesterday, about 17 gallant soldiers, you know, were ambushed and killed at their base. That is that's alarming, and it's not something that a government should joke about. If the terrorists are bold enough to attack the military at their base, then what is the hope of a common man in his own house, you know? And so it creates fear in the heart of the people, because we are just there. It's like Nigeria is sitting on a time bomb, ready to explode at any time. Look at our roads. Nowhere is safe. No road is safe. And the air is not safe. Rail, I don't think anybody will want to put his life on the rail these days. All right, the same thing with water widths. So what are we talking about? Communication is nothing to write home about, and road networks, nothing to write home about. Infrastructures, education, health services, everywhere is collapsing. So what are we talking about? And what we hear, on a daily basis, it's on the news, is the seat from the government. Nigeria is the largest economy that is not transferred into the, that is not showing in the life of the people. A lot of people are living according to the United Nations submission recently. Most Nigerians are living
below poverty level.
Below poverty level, the second poorest nation in the whole world, and we are talking of largest economy in Africa. So it's all deceit. We are falling. We're drawing back, and something has to be done of a necessity before we break as a nation, because we are moving towards that direction now.
Nigeria practices democracy, and there are too many things that should be happening in a democracy. Freedom of speech, of course, that is part of it, and of course, the dividends of democracy must go across, every Nigerian citizen. But that is not the current situation. But then, someone spoke to me yesterday and said Nigeria is not even within touching distance of practicing democracy. Is that true?
We are not really practicing democracy.
So, what would you call what we currently practice in Nigeria?
I think this is the government of the politicians, by the politicians,
and for the politicians
to oppress the people. Because one of the beauty of democracy is opposition. You have the ruling party on one part, and you have the opposition on one part, and it's opposition that
checkmate the ruling party.
The ruling party. We don't have that in Nigeria. All right, the executive, the same party. The president, the same party. The Senate president, the same party. House of Reps Speaker, the same party. What are we talking about? And what we are seeing recently, so many, even the few opposition that we think we have, they are migrating to the ruling party.
Yesterday on the floor of the House, the Senate, there was a ceremony from the Labour Party to the APC.
Yes.
And everybody was laughing. They were laughing.
Is
that the order of the day?
That is where they're pushing us. If care is not taken, even the fundamental human right, freedom of speech that you talk about, will be taken away from us. We are moving towards anarchy. We are moving towards dictatorship, because when there is a government and there is no opposition, all you have is dictatorship.
So whose fault is it that the oppositions in Nigeria are in disarray?
Well, it's the system, and the greed of the politicians. What happens, like for the House now, the Senate, the House of Assembly, we have few oppositions, okay? And so what the system does to them is that it makes life a bit difficult for the opposition. If the president does not give you room to talk, you are not going to talk.
So you just be there for 4 years.
You just be there for 4 years. And they too have ambition. And they know that, for the ambition to be fulfilled, they have to
align.
Align.
Party.
If you can't win them, you join them. That is what is happening in Nigeria. But it's not favoring the people of Nigeria. We are impoverished. People are suffering. I don't think there has been, the height of hunger that we're experiencing presently in Nigeria before. All right, since I've been living in this nation, all right, and I'm passionate about Nigeria. I love Nigeria. I've been to so many places in the world, but I always tell people that Nigeria is the best place to live on earth. All right, and it's the truth. The only problem we have in this nation is that of leadership.
All right, some people, there's an insinuation in town. I've spoken to so many people, and I've corroborated the fact. They say Nigeria is the only country in the world that you sleep with nothing and wake up with a lot of things. And then Nigeria is still the only country where you sleep with a lot, but wake up with nothing. Is that true?
It is a place where I was reading an article yesterday, you know, the few that are rich, they are stupendously rich, and they are getting richer every day.
So there's a gap between the rich and the poor.
There is a wide gap, and the politicians are not ready to bridge the gap. Okay, they just want us to know that they are the rich and there are the poor. The poor are getting poorer. Remember the other time that one of the senators moved a motion, you know, talking to the president of the Senate that let the poor breathe. And it was a joke in the Senate. Who are the poor? Why should the poor breathe? You know, what do we need?
If you have not stifled them in the first place,
you know,
why make such statements?
They did not even remember that it's a live program. You know, they were just making jokes of the poor. That means that they don't really have the love of the poor at heart. These are not rulers. These are not leaders. These are people that want to get whatever is meant for everybody for themselves alone. You know, but they've forgotten one thing that, you know, a little thing called karma, you know. And if they are wise, they should have seen what happens to the leaders in the past. Some of them are dead, some of them are still alive. They should visit them and see the way they are living, the way the people, you know, that's supposed to treat well are treating them now. Whatever you do today is a story tomorrow. You know, what legacy are you leaving behind? Because people are going to read your story. And your story is going to become a story tomorrow, you know. And you can only have your way, you know, for as long as you live. Every one of us, we hope that we're going to die, you know. And the politicians should think about that.
Dr. Kunle Okunlola, yes. Are Nigerians being held by the scruff of the neck?
We are being strangulated. We are managing to breathe.
Is there a chance that an average Nigerian will eventually survive this battle?
It depends on our youth. Our hope, all right, lies in the youth. They should organize themselves and resist this.
The Not Too Young to Rule bill has failed to see the light of the day. How do you feel the youth will eventually get a say in what is happening in Nigeria as we speak?
If they
don't forget, politicians, after they are done, they actually bring on board their children. I will mention about 3 or 4 of them who now have their sons. Malam Nasir El-Rufai has his son in the Kaduna State House of Assembly. He's there. Of course, these are things that are going on.
If you go to the
former governor of Ogun State, his son is there.
Almost all of them. They are replicating themselves.
Even the late governor, Isiaq Abiola Ajimobi, at the point, you know, his son tried to be in the House of Reps. So these are people who, after they are done, Olameju is there. So after they are done, they are trying to bring on board, you know, a replica of themselves into power.
And that is what I said. It lies in the, you know, on our youths. If they don't give you, you have to take it. Since 1960, there was a time I sat down and I was looking at the people that have been ruling us. Almost the same set of people. The father left, the wife is there, the wife left, the children
same
are there.
Same gene in different bottles.
The same gene, they are just coming, you know. Our president was once a senator, was once a governor
of Lagos State.
The wife was a senator for about 8 years or so.
More than that.
More than that. The daughter I had is the Yaloja of Lagos State. You know, and on and on. That's the way they do. They replicate themselves. They don't want to give chance, you know, to a son of nobody. And I said we are no nation until a son of nobody rises up to become somebody without the influence of somebody, influence of anybody. So if they don't give you, you are going to take it. We can't just be pushed to the back and let these few people, they are very few, having the field of the day, you know, and you know, taking the wealth of this nation. This nation is supposed to be a wealthy nation. We are endowed, you know, human resources, natural resources. We are endowed. You need to move to another nation and look around. That's when you appreciate what God has given us in this nation. But it lies in the hands of a few people. And we have to do something about it.
All right, a huge chunk of the countries on this planet do not have as much as Nigeria currently has. But of course, some of them are doing way better than Nigeria is doing economically in all ramifications. Now, are Nigerian elite too disconnected with the realities on ground that they got carried away by the fact that Nigerians are suffering?
Most of them are not, that do not care. They don't. It's what you care about that you worry about. You understand? You can't prevent what you permit. It's not possible. You know.
You cannot prevent what you permit.
It's not possible. You can't prevent what you permit. You know. You have to be determined to hold it before you can prevent it. You know. So the elites that you're talking about, they are having their own shares. You know, of the larger share. What happens is that when they know that, you know, you're having a voice, they bring you on board. And most of the time, because of the greed in the hearts of many of us, when you get there, you keep short. How many of the so-called Nigerians that really have the interest of this nation at heart have been silenced by the politicians? Look at what Babangida did to Tai Solarin at that time. Look at Oshiomhole. Look at what he has become, you know, and on like that. So they don't really have the interest of the people of Nigeria at heart. Once they get there, they just want to get, you know, whatever they can get for them and their families alone.
Okay, now let's talk about the renewed hope agenda. Has it brought about measurable improvement to the lives of the Nigerian people?
I haven't seen that. The Renew Hope agenda, I haven't seen the effect of it, you know.
But on paper, they are saying Nigeria is improving. In terms of internally generated revenue, fuel subsidy has been removed, and of course, state governors now have more money in the kitty. They are doing more projects according to them. Are you saying that as an individual, as an observer?
What you have said now, does it reflect in the way of living of the people?
Inflation is still over 30%.
But
they say it's coming down.
When they say a nation is wealthy, it reflects in the life of the people, the cost of living, the way of living. You understand? When you step on the high streets in London, you can't tell a rich from the poor because there is nothing you can see. We enter the same bus, the same taxi, the same, you know, underground, the same train. You know, you say Prime Minister. I've been in a train, you know, underground train, you know, going to work, and the former Prime Minister of England, Tony Blair, you know, was there. There wasn't a seat for him. He was standing.
And nobody stood up for him.
Nobody will stand up for him because he came and met people sitting down. In fact, if he had come earlier sitting down and a pregnant woman or a woman comes in, he has to stand up. You understand? That is the beauty of democracy. He was the Prime Minister for 8 years, all right, and very close to where I live in the UK. He bought, you know, a semi-detached flat, I think a 3-bedroom, all right, and it was taken to court. That's after 8 years of ruling. Where did you get the money to buy? His wife, you know, Blair, was the top lawyer. He was the top lawyer. He had to go and explain how he got the money
to buy a flat.
A semi-detached flat, not a bungalow, semi-detached flat. That's the beauty, you know, of democracy. When you can hold your leader accountable for whatever he has done, all right? And that's why I say we are not practicing democracy as it should be practiced in Nigeria.
Now, when we talk about politicians in Nigeria, some people, they make a case for politicians needing watchdogs, people to watch out for them. When they hear, they can always be held accountable for things they do. So, during the regime of President Olusegun Obasanjo back then, he brought about the EFCC. At the point, there was ICPC. We have had the NSCDC. Of course, the Nigerian Army is there. The police, they are there. Of course, a lot of parastatals, of course, ministries and MDAs, they are there. But the point is, Nigerians still find it difficult to find justice anywhere. most people, let's talk about the justice system in the country. Yeah. There are so many people who are still there. Just yesterday, the Oyo State government pardoned a few people from the Abolongo prison in Oyo, just to decongest the prison, to make sure that the facilities are not overstretched. But the point is, some people are still there whose cases have been hanging in the air for 3, 4, 5 years and nobody has done anything about that. That is injustice on their part, and they're being held in prisons. But that is still the case in every prison in Nigeria. What's the way to go? What do we need exactly to get across this line?
All these agencies that you have mentioned, ICPC, the EFCC, and the like, they are tools in the hand of whosoever.
So when will we get the accurate agencies to tackle the current situation of the country, especially in the area of corruption?
Until we have a president or a leader that is not corrupt and that is not dining with the corrupt politicians and leaders. That's why you can have these, agencies, being effective as they're supposed to be. They're good agencies with good intention, But what we see now is that they are tools in the hands of the government, and what they do with them is to witch hunt whosoever is an opposition. All right. You will never see EFCC or ICPC going after somebody that is in the ruling party and it's in agreement, with the party or with the president. You will never see that,
Adams Oshiomhole mentioned something, comrade. He said, if you join the APC, your sins are forgiven. How do we move forward from there?
Those are erroneous statements that people should, hold them for. There are so many of such erroneous statements that we have in this country, and you wonder why nothing is being done. Gumi has been, Sheikh Gumi has been
fraternizing with the bandits.
A go between the government and the terrorists. Sometimes he negotiates, the whatever amount they want to pay.
He mentioned that he knows where they are.
He knows where they are. Has meeting with them.
But the Nigerian military does not know where they are.
He went to Mecca to perform Hajj. All right. They didn't allow him. They threw him back. That we see all the atrocities that you are performing in Nigeria. All right. In a normal country, as he stepped into the airport,
he should be arrested.
He should be arrested. Just a few days ago, when the president was talking about, our forest guards, he came out and he said, President should make the terrorists the forest guards because they're already there and nobody is saying anything. These are erroneous statements, that in some other nations, whosoever said that will have been picked. That's what I said. Sometimes I wonder what is happening in this nation. Are we really a nation? And when somebody said he is a zoo, some people are mad, does not really look like a zoo, all right?
Doctor, is it safe to say?
It matters only if you are rich, if you are, important, in quote, because everybody is important. But if you are not rich and your parents are not rich, anything can happen to you in this nation. There are people that stole billions, trillions, and you see them in court, and we feel that, for the first time, justice is going to be handed over. And what do you see? Plea bargain. I stole 100 million. I want to give back 10 million. And the court say, go, you are free. And you walk out of the court enjoying, the billions remain that they are stolen. And somebody stole maybe a cup of gari to feed and said, sentence him. They put him in Abolongo and he's there. Some of them have not been tried and they've been there for years. They are just reminded there. What justice is that?
Is it safe to say some people are free under the law to trivialize or make a joke out of the political structure and, of course, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
It depends on who you are. What is good for the good is good for the Ganders, not in Nigeria. There are some statements you make as an ordinary person, you are taking up for it. But for a so-called important personalities in Nigeria, you are free. Almost every aspect of this nation, is breaking down. We are that break. For whosoever is seeing it to see, we are that brick. And when it breaks, we are all, even they that thinks that they are secured, you know, they are going to be affected. They're going to be affected. The poor cannot sleep because they are hungry. The rich keep building, fences. You see perimeter fences that are far, far taller than the houses inside. In those days, you know, you put a small fence so that you can see the beauty of the house. But these days, because the rich are afraid that the poor are not sleeping, they too cannot sleep.
There was a statement I heard some years ago, that the better children you have failed to train today
definitely
will not allow the Bodija children to sleep at night. Is that true?
It's true. Chief Abafimalo said it. You know, he said it. That those are visionary leaders. You know, when he brought free education, and he said, I wish my counterpart in the north would do the same thing, because these people that are left on the street for almongery, all right, they will not allow those that were training here to sleep in the future. And that is it.
And that was a prophecy.
That is what we are having today. That is what we have. You need to go to the north, you know, you will weep for this nation. 4 years, 3 years, you know, 15, 16, you see them on the street, almongery, begging for food, begging for leftovers.
They're on the street of Ibadan.
Yes.
You go to Sabo, you'll find them.
And
go to Gate, you'll find them.
That's what I believe the Oyo State government should do more. All right, there was a time he built a place for them, and they're picking them, and I realized that they left the place and they went back.
Go to Samonda, they are there.
They are everywhere. They are everywhere, and it should not be encouraged, because these are people that do not have value for their own lives, and the most difficult person to deal with in life is a person who does not value his own life. Because he does not value his own life, he doesn't value your own life. He doesn't, you know. And so that's why I said it's like we are sitting on a time bomb, and nothing seems to be done. The government is not doing enough. As security operatives, they are not doing enough. You know, something is brooding in the northwest now about the banditry. All right, that if care is not taken, it's going to be worse than the Boko Haram, the Lakurawa terrorists. They are penetrating the Sokoto and all the northwest. How are they recruiting youths? Okay, they call the youth, especially those that have gone to school, they don't have a work once you are 18. All right, your signing in money is 1 million. You sign 1 million to join, and they give you, and I think they pay them 150,000 naira, you know, on monthly basis. It will take the grace of God and discipline for a youth who does not have anything to reject such offer. And our government is not doing anything. Look at our borders. Look at the proliferation of arms and ammunition. You know, our borders are not secured. You know, and on a daily basis, illegal weapons and ammunition are coming to this nation.
Even through the proven borders.
Yes, just 2 weeks ago, Katsina government had a meeting, a peaceful meeting with the bandits.
A peaceful meeting with the bandits.
That's laughable anyway. That's quite laughable.
A peaceful meeting with the
bandits. And they came in their numbers. How did they announce their presence? They started shooting sporadically. All of them armed with AK-47. They must have wasted about 30,000 to 50,000 bullets. You know, weapons are not cheap. The cheapest AK-47, there are so many brands, all right, is about $250. All right, that's about 300,000 or thereabout. All right, a bullet, one bullet for AK-47 rifle is $15. That's about 30,000 naira, and they wasted about 30,000 of it. Multiply 30,000 with 30,000. That's a lot of money. Where is that money coming from? Where are they getting the weapons from? Weapons are not bought in open market. You know, there are paperwork that you do before you can get. Who is perfecting the paperwork for them? All right, the food they eat, where is it coming from? The water they drink inside that bush, where is it coming from? Who supplies? Who is the supplier?
Who is safe to say there are foreign influences?
Yes, you know, I think it was Abacha, late General Abacha, that said that if insurgency persists in a nation for more than 3 days, it must have a hand of the present government in it. Insurgency must not last more than 3 days in any nation. For more than 15 years now, we're battling with Boko Haram. Some of the Chibok girls taken were still held hostage. And we feel all is well. All is not well with this nation. All is not well with this nation.
Okay, now, we are with the minimum wage talks stalling and inflation spiraling. Is government empathy towards the common man merely performative?
I think they are just trying to save face. Saving face is an oriental term. When you know you have done something wrong, just want to do something to cover up. You know, inflation is rising. You are increasing the wage
to 70,000.
That's not the way to do it. That's not how to go about it. You understand? When I was doing my NYSC, all right, 89 or thereabout, all right, our Alawi, it was during that time that they increased it, you know, to 70 naira. And 70 naira then, I came back to buy about 12 plots of land when I came. They've increased there, I think 30,000 or thereabout now. You know, what 70,000 can buy at that
77,000 naira.
Yes, what 70 naira can buy, there are 77,000 cannot buy it. Now, a wise government will deal with inflation. A wise government, you know, will do a central price control for essential goods, especially foods. Bring down all the taxes.
The basic commodities.
On basic commodities. Let there be abundance of food. All right? Let there be amenities. Our dependence on petroleum alone, you know, is not leading us anywhere. God forbid, with the present Iran, Israeli, whatever, you know, petrol will break.
We are already seeing the effects.
And so what do we do as a nation? Our budget is planned based on the price of petrol. All right, we have great arable lands. You know, our forefathers in the north, in the west, northeast, north, south, we have always been good farmers. You know, there's gold in Taraba being mined on a daily basis illegally, and the government is looking the other side. On a daily basis, how many, you know, trillions, volumes of our crude oils are being taken away illegally, and the government is looking at the other side. Because they are accomplices. Yes, they are accomplices, you know. So, what is the hope of the common man? Where are we going? You know, the only thing that is left for a common man is education. All right, but look at what is happening in education. Look at the last JAMB. Look at what happened. Many of them could not write the exam because the facilities given them were not working. Look at the last WAEC. You know,
because of systemic failure.
Some people wrote WAEC 10 p.m. with candles in some places, in some centers. Most centers 9 p.m.
Torchlights.
Because of failures of the system. Why can't we get anything right in this nation?
Okay, very quickly before we go, would you say the current administration understands the urgency of hunger, joblessness, and youth despair, or is it more concerned with optics and blame games?
When you listen to the president talk, you know, initially we felt that this man probably, you know, empathizes with us, you know, with the people we understand, you know, by hello for Kombale, things will get better. But on a daily basis, people are dying, and what we stay here again is the normal slogan, hello for Kombale. Is it until everybody dies before things improve? 2 years is good enough if there is a good policy for us to begin to see signs. We are not seeing any sign. Which of our refineries is working? Which of them? None is working. And they promised us that when they remove the subsidy, that in the first year, 2 of the refineries will be working. This is the second year. Nothing is being done. Hello for Kombale Langbo every time. You know. So I don't believe that the present government, you know, is empathizing with the people. The people are hungry. And a hungry man is an angry man. An hungry man is defiant. You know. If care is not taken, it's going to come to a point that people will not mind their lives again. Look at what happened in Benue recently. Is it a crime to sleep in your own house? And people were burned to ashes. More than 200 people. In a normal nation, everything will come to a standstill. There is still celebration in Abuja. The following, the next day, you know, there are still commissioning of roads in Abuja. You know, the third day, the president visited the place to commiserate with people. The naive governor was saying that, telling his subjects to come out in their native colorful attires to welcome the president. That is insane.
Insensitivity.
Gross insensitivity. If one of your own daughters was among the victims, will you accept that? And they know how to protect, you know, themselves. There was a time that when the self-bombing things was rampant in Nigeria, you know, the government of Nigeria, I think it was a Goodluck Jonathan, then sent some of our, you know, officers in the police, you know, I think to Israel or for anti-bomb, whatever, and they came in their hundreds. You know, I know somebody was even a member of a church, and I said, oh, now that you are back, you know, what are you going to do? He said the intention was that the few that went out to be trained should train others. So a few months after asking, officer, what is happening? He said, this country is finished. You know, so what happened was that they gave every state around 10 of those officers that came. It was one of the people that went to a particular state. Do you know what happened? The governor took 3. The deputy governor took 2. The House of Assembly took 2. That's how they told themselves. You need to attend a high-profile wedding or burial service and see the number of security officers that were accompanying a single...
Doctor, we have to go.
A single politician.
We have to go.
That's how we are in this nation.
We say a very big thank you for joining us
in the
studio this morning. It has been an insightful conversation with you. And of course, we would love to have you one more time to discuss something pressing. And of course, that is of concern to the Nigerian populace. All right, the show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. And this has been, of course, an insightful conversation with Dr. Kunle Okonla. This is the big story. As the curtain falls on today's discussion, one thing is clear. Nigeria is not just a country in crisis. It is a nation in waiting. Waiting for leadership that listens. Waiting for policies that work. Waiting for change that doesn't just campaign, but delivers. The journey ahead is uncertain, but the voices we heard today reminds us the people are awake and they are watching. Thank you for joining us on The Big Story on Daybreak Live on Dominion Television Ibadan. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and above all, stay hopeful. Samson Balogun is my name. The show continues after this time out. All right, welcome back from that short break. We have had an insightful conversation with Dr. Kunle Okunla on the big story. Of course, now straight to Trend Watch, where we bring you trends on the social media this morning. Of course, there is a lot to talk about. And,
well, it won't be just
me. Pataito is still here.
There's a lot to talk about, but I think politics is giving us another look, another shape, and some people have actually reacted to the story of Peter Obi films following the demolition of his brother's property over 15 years in Lagos. So some people are actually looking at it, it's political, and some are saying like maybe it has something that happens, and a lot is happening.
Well, you know, when you talk about the demolition of properties, I think so there are things so many people do not consider. I think, for example, yesterday I was, you know, surfing the internet and I saw, you know, a video and, of course, a picture of Peter Obi standing over someone else's property while he was governor of Anambra State, you know, when the demolition was going on. And people were now saying, look, this was you, you know, some years ago, and then now you are, you know, standing on your own brother's property that has been demolished. The question is, was the property meant to be there in the first place? And if it was meant to be there,
then who approved
it? So, you know, it is not just about playing politics about everything. It's about being holistic about the approach with it to address issues.
Well, you saying being holistic, yes, I actually agree with that. But then this property has been there for over 15 years. What actually happened? Why is it now you demolish it?
I think too many people do not actually do their due diligence on properties when they buy them. They do not ask the necessary questions, and then eventually they bear the brunt of whatever happens in the long run.
After 15 years.
Take for example, there are houses still under the power line right now, and people are living happily until the federal government comes and say you cannot be here. There are houses on the rail tracks or close to rail tracks, and it is on until the NRA, Railway Corporation,
talking about wait, still talking about the rail tracks this rail track you just talked about made me to realize that the NRC, they still come to those houses or those buildings beside the rail.
And mark them and say, you cannot be here.
Not only mark them, they collect revenue from them.
From them?
Yes. They do collect revenue from there, and the revenue is on the high side. So if you're talking about NRC, I know that very well, that they do come, they will tell you, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Before you know, they will just bring a bill for you to pay. So, but this particular one, I really don't want us to dwell too much on it,
because it's a systemic failure. Somewhere,
and that's what Dr. Okunla just said now.
To do their jobs. All right, let's take one more story on Trend Watch this morning. I wish people knew how beautiful and precious your heart is. Priscilla Ojo celebrates Chioma Good Air on her birthday. I think there's something really interesting about the relationship between these two, but people don't know. I think it was on a trip with Chioma Good Hair that Priscilla eventually met Juma Jobs. So now, you know, it's just normal for you to appreciate someone who has done so well for you. I mean, it's, don't you think so?
Well, what strikes me the most is just for her to come out to say, I know, because mainly looking at Chioma, you know that she's not an age mate with Priscilla.
Of course,
but Priscilla coming to like still shows that respect of, yes, I know you're older than me, but then we're friends. I celebrate you, and that's good. And that's what make me to like talk about some people with the age. They always carry age.
See, it's just
when it comes to relationship.
Yeah, it's fine. I think all cultures, especially in Africa, they regard, you know, age and of course the distance. They respect that, but it boils down to who exactly is involved to determine if respect will be passed across to the other person. If not those auntie,
and there's a auntie that you just put this. I don't want to say it.
Like that. Okay, let's take comments. I think Cherry Coco says, oh, darling, we know Chioma is really a good person. And of course, also Faustina says, I love the way Chioma genuinely looks after Prissy like her own little sister. Happy birthday, Big Chi. I think it's really important to always appreciate people around you. And
the way I do appreciate Samson for always being there on Daybreak Live.
Of course, the way I appreciate you too, you know, for being a, you know, a good partner on the show.
No partner, good wife.
All right, we simply have to go this morning. Our time is fast spent. This will be the convenient time to draw the curtains on today's edition of Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. Do not forget to join us for Daybreak Live Extra tomorrow, where we'll bring you something really different and of course interesting, you know, to what we have today. Yes, we say a very big thank you to everyone. You can keep the conversation going. Link up with us on all social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even LinkedIn. It is at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, it is at Dominion Cast. You can also watch us live on our website www.dominion.org. .ng. Well, the week is not yet over. I'll say for you, the goals you set out to achieve this week, it is still possible. Of course, yes, it is possible. So keep grinding, keep doing the things you do, keep being safe out there. Bye for now. Until tomorrow. Samson Balogun is my name. All right, I know Samson is always happy when it's Thursday because they always have this throwback Thursday. Yes. But all the same, we'll appreciate you for letting us into your home this morning. Thank you so much for being part of the show. My name is Pat Aito. Thank you so much. Have a great day.